Hello, Ross here from The Clean Handbook, and today we are going to be talking about the importance of sleep and how you can improve your quality of it. Now, sleep is important because of recovery. It's where we recover from absolutely everything. Mentally, we recover from the work that we've been doing that day. Physically, we recover from what our body has done that day. Sleep is the time where we build. So we build muscle, we build everything that we've broken down that day. If you don't sleep, you don't recover that well, you're not going to get bigger and stronger if that's what your aim is. You're not going to have the energy the next day to get through the day and get your work done. Sleep is hugely important and a very neglected part of it. People think it's like more of it's not a necessity, and it's more of an interrupt of what their day is. It's an inconvenience to them. That is a terrible attitude to have, and if you pay attention to your sleep, then your quality of life when you are awake will be much improved. Our bodies work with light, so when it is light, we are supposed to be awake, and when it is dark, that is when we are supposed to be asleep. Melatonin is the hormone that puts you to sleep, and that starts to rise as the day gets darker. And cortisol is the hormone that wakes you up. That starts to rise whenever light hits your skin. And this has been shown, light doesn't have to hit your eyes for cortisol to be released into your body, and cortisol then wakes you up. It has been shown that if you shine a torch on the bottom of your foot, where the light only touches the bottom of your foot and you aren't exposed to that light anywhere else on your body, cortisol is still released in your body. That is quite mental. You would assume that it's just when light hits your eyes that that's what wakes you up. It's not. So sometimes when you are wearing an eye mask, something like that, covering your eyes and making it dark isn't always the best case. If you're in a light room and your skin is all exposed but you have an eye mask on, you're still going to have that cortisol rushing through your blood. When we do sleep, we go through 90-minute cycles during the night. Each cycle has 5 stages, and the first stage is the very simple one where you are half asleep, half awake. It takes 2 to 3% of your whole sleep night to go through this stage. Then you go straight into stage 2. Stage 2 is deepening sleep. Now this takes half of the 90-minute cycle to go through. You are in this for about 45 minutes per cycle. And this is the stage where it's easiest for you to wake up from. Your body temperature starts to decrease, your muscles starts to relax, your breathing starts to slow. And then once you've gone through 45 minutes of that, you then go into stages 3 and 4. Stages 3 and 4 are the deepest part of the sleep. It takes about 20% of the 90-minute cycle to go through, and this is when your body temperature is at its lowest and it is hardest to wake you up from these stages. Stage 5 is REM sleep. This is the final part of the cycle. REM stands for rapid eye movement. So this is where you are most likely to be dreaming. This is where your eyes move rapidly, hence the name. And you spend about 25% of the night in REM sleep. That's if you haven't had medications or caffeine or anything outside influencing the amount of REM sleep that you get. Now, knowing that you go through 90-minute cycles and it is best or easiest to wake up in a semi-awake state at the end of one of those cycles, we can use that information to plan from when we wake up to what time we go to bed. So let's say your alarm is set for 6 a.m. every morning. You can then work back in 90-minute intervals. To ideally you want 4 cycles or 5 cycles is much better. So if we work back from 6 a.m., 5 cycles would mean we have to be asleep or in bed asleep at 10:30 p.m. That's where we perfectly time it. 5 cycles, we wake up at 6 a.m. We should be nice and fresh to the next morning. If you don't work it out right and you end up waking up or your alarm goes off during stages 3 or 4 when you are in the deepest sleep, it's going to be much harder to wake up. It's going to take longer for you to become alert, and you're not going to start the day off the best that you can start the day off. Now, another thing you can use to help your sleep is a light alarm clock. Now this isn't going to help sleep, this is going to help you wake up in the morning. Now it helps you wake up especially when you are having to wake up in the dark. So let's say you get up at 6 a.m. every day as well. Now for 4 months, 5 months out of the year, you're going to have no problem because it's going to be light at that time anyway. But from October time to March, April time, it's going to be pitch black when you wake up. And this is awful. It is stupidly hard to get up when it's pitch black. I hate doing it. So what I did this year was buy a light alarm clock. What the alarm clock does is you set it for a time. So if you set it for 6 a.m., then what it does is at 5:30 a.m., it gradually turns on a light and fills your room with light. Essentially, it's simulating a sunrise. And it's this light, like we've talked about just now with cortisol being the thing that stimulates and wakes you up. It starts to do that in that half an hour before, and it is much, much easier to wake up to this than it is to having to wake up when your alarm's beeping and you don't know whether your eyes are closed or whether your eyes are open. It's much easier to wake up when it is light. So in the months where it is pitch black when you wake up, light alarm clock can save your day. It can make the first 2 hours of your day so much more comfortable. You'll be so much more awake, and more importantly, so much more productive. Another point relative to light that you can do is you want the room that you are sleeping in to be as pitch black as possible during the night. Now, if you've got a street light on just outside your window or a TV standby light, we want to turn those off. If it's a TV standby light, turn it off at the plug. If it's a street light, what you can do is get blackout curtains. Whatever you can do to make your room as pitch black as possible, do it. That will help the quality of your sleep even more. Last point relative to light is the build up to actually going to sleep. In the 3-4 hours before you sleep, what we don't want to do is expose ourselves to bright lights, to screens, to TV screens, to computer screens, to phone screens, to big bathroom lights that we've got. Ideally, what we want to do is reduce the exposure to light as the night goes on. So dimming the lights, turning the phone off after a certain time. One thing you can do is get sunglasses that emit blue light. Blue light is one of the things that is key in waking you up or stimulating the cortisol. So you can either turn screens off that have blue light, there is options to do that on some screens, or you can just buy yourself a pair of glasses, stick those on, and that will help reduce your exposure and reduce the buildup of cortisol before you go to sleep. Next, we're going to talk about stimulants. So what we don't want to be drinking is caffeine. Caffeine is something that wakes us up. We all know this, yet some of us still have coffees just before we go to bed. Don't do that. Don't try and stimulate your body just before you want it to completely shut down and turn off for a few hours. Caffeine has a half-life of about 6 hours. So 6 hours after you have drunk it, you still have half of the caffeine in your system. A good rule to follow to break this is to reduce your intake of caffeinated drinks to before 12 p.m. After midday, don't drink caffeine. Otherwise, it'll still be in your system when it comes 9, 10, 11 o'clock when you are going to sleep. Next, we want to avoid eating very late. Anything after 8 p.m. can affect your quality of sleep and how quickly you get to sleep and what your stomach is like during sleep. Eat your last meal of the day before 6 p.m. and you won't have any of these problems. You won't have any digestive problems, your stomach will feel fine, and you'll drop off much quicker when you are trying to get to sleep than when you eat just before then. And the last tip for helping you get a good quality sleep is having a firm mattress. Now, this isn't specifically related to the quality of the sleep itself, it's more related to the condition that you wake up in after your sleep. Now, when you are sleeping, you should move while you are asleep. You may fall asleep in the same position and happen to wake up in that position quite regularly, but you move during the night lots and lots of times. I think on average it's 60 times that you move position while you are asleep. This happens because you have pressure points on your body. So you have pressure points on your elbow, on your knees, on your shoulders, on your wrists, and a few other places. Now, what happens is your body subconsciously feels these getting irritated. So if I'm laying on my front the whole time or for a good amount of time, my elbows start to get sore. Those pressure points then trigger in my brain, right, it's time to move. And this is the body's way of not letting you stiffen up. When these points are aggravated, you automatically move to another position. So I'm laid on my front, my elbows start getting sore, I turn over, I'm still sound asleep, I've got no idea that this has just happened. Now, this happens when you have a firm mattress. So because it is firm, those pressure points get aggravated sooner. If you have a very soft mattress and you just sink into it, these pressure points don't become stimulated as quickly. And this is when people wake up with sore necks, sore elbows, sore shoulders. This is why, because they've been laid in a certain position for far too long. They're longer than they should have done. The bodies have stiffened up and they haven't moved enough during the night. So get a firm mattress and throw out the soft one. Otherwise, you're much more susceptible to waking up with sore necks, much more susceptible to waking up with tight hips, tight shoulders, tight everything. Get a firm mattress that you can sleep on, doesn't have to be made of rock. Get a nice firm mattress and you won't have any of those neck problems. And there we go. That is what happens during sleep, and there's a good few tips there on how to make the most of it. And you should make the most of it. Sleep is something you have to do anyway. It's not a life choice where you have to spend 2 hours in your day doing this specific thing to get the benefit of it. You have to sleep anyway. You have to sleep no matter what happens during your day. So make the most of it. Don't get shitty sleep quality so you wake up the next day feeling groggy and you are nowhere near as productive as you know you can be. Make the most of the sleep that you have to get anyway. Thank you for watching the video. Hopefully you are going to apply all those tips to your sleep. If you are new here, then you can check out our other videos just here and just here. And also click the subscribe button below and you will see all our new stuff as it comes out.